All right, so next, the Union player may, now I could have done this with the Confederate player, but I didn't, but now is the opportunity, after you've done all your combat, to replace cards. So looking at their hand, they've actually got a pretty decent hand, but the card for striking the colors isn't a terribly helpful one in this particular battle. So let's go ahead and have them discard that and replace it. And you keep track of the cards that you've replaced by setting them aside in a pile so you can remember how many cards you replaced. In this case, the Union player can replace a maximum of 3 cards for now, and then when the Weehawken comes in, it can replace 1 more card. So in this case, it worked out pretty good because they drew a double charge card, which gives them a really good combat modifier, and that'll help them out later on. So that concludes the turn. Turn marker increases, and now we go around to the CSS Atlanta, and we can give him orders again. In this case, I would just give him orders 1. There's nothing to do in the status phase for the Atlanta yet. He's not under any smoke or anything, so we'll just give him the same order, and we'll go rate the movement. He rolls a D10, which is a 5 here. Now, he could modify that if he had a fast maneuver card, but he doesn't. So the defensive roll is going to be a D8 and a D6 again. And the 5 beats the best defense roll was a 3 there on the D8, so the maneuver was successful. But he's got to be careful. If I move into this row here, the shoal depth is 1, and there would have to be a challenge to find out if the Atlanta grounds. So I don't really want to do that yet, so I would actually move him here so he can get a normal range, medium range shot off at the Nahant. Alright, so we're ready to fire at the Nahant now, and what I could do is I could use rapid fire in order to fire twice, but I'm going to hold off on that until I get a little bit better shot. So in this case, I'm just going to go ahead and make a normal fire attack. The battery on the Atlanta is a D8 and a D10. So firing away the D10 whiffs. D8 carries the day with a 4. Now I've got a crack crew, and I didn't put the counter on there, so let me go ahead and find the crack crew counter and put that on the ship as a reminder. There it is. Let's see. There we go. Okay, crack crew, he's going to get a +1 modifier, so actually the 4 becomes a 5. If you look at the gunnery die roll modifiers, the 4 becomes a 5, down to 4 again because of the light smoke on the Nahant. And again, I got to ask some questions of the designer on some of the modifiers. It's not exactly clear. So that's going to be a 4 tops. Where do we hit? Okay, now this is cool. We rolled an 8 for a hit. Now if you look at the Nahant, look at the WL box, and you'll see that that's where the 1 or the 8 is going to strike. That's the waterline. Waterline, no matter what the armor condition is there, always inflicts a hit. Now hits in the game are permanent. So that's the first hit that the Nahant takes. Now once it takes 4 hits, its maneuverability is going to go down. Once it takes 11 hits, it is sunk. So it's going to take an automatic hit there for the waterline. Now we have to see if the armor stops it from causing more damage. So we roll a 10, a 6, and a 4. 10's a 5. That's already going to beat the attack roll, so no reason to roll the other dice. So the waterline effect, I mean, the armor's still intact and everything, but that was a waterline hit that damaged the less protected part of the ship, and so the ship has taken some damage to its hull. Alright, now we can replace cards, and they're actually going to do that, the same sort of thing. Get rid of the screen card, which isn't helpful. Whoops, didn't mean to discard that. Just going to flip it over. And we'll draw another card out. And it's the same stinking thing, so that didn't help at all. Alright, so now the Nahant has its turn, and we have a status phase. Because it's under smoke, we have to roll to see if the smoke goes away. So the challenge die roll for light smoke is a D10, which is a 1. And that's going to be an auto fail, because no matter what the other guy rolls, he's going to roll at least a 1, and the challenge will fail. So the smoke's going to stay with him. Now, what does he want to do next? Let's go ahead and be aggressive with a maneuver 1. and he rolls a d10 to see if he can maneuver, and he rolls a 2. Defender rolls a d8 and a d6. Now he's going to modify this. If you look at the chart for maneuver, he's actually going to modify that, I think, for smoke. No, he's not. Heavy smoke is the only modifier that would apply there. So because he's under light smoke, there's no modifier there. So no modifier, but the defensive roll there on the d8 was a 7, which is better than the 2 that the guy rolled. So basically, the Atlanta captain allows themselves to maintain their relative positions to one another. So he doesn't close the distance on the Atlanta, but he will be able to fire. And just for giggles and grins, let's go ahead and fire a double charge to show how this works. He's going to throw a double charge card out there. Now, the Confederate player doesn't really have a card that's going to be useful to counter this right now, so they're not going to do anything. All right, here's how the double charge works. It's going to add at medium range a +2 modifier, but it may damage the firing guns. So there's a small risk that this could happen. So let's go ahead and take the shot. Nahant has a battery of D10, 6, and a 4. So here's the 10, 6, and 4. So 7's the best roll. So 7 comes up +2. For the double charge, there's no modifiers for the range. There's a -1 modifier for the smoke. So that's actually going to be a final die roll of 8. Where does he hit? He hits the waterline on the Atlanta. So Atlanta takes a hit for the waterline. And the waterline part of the Atlanta is a D10 and a D6. It's a little bit more suspect than the stern and basically the upper body structure. So a D10 and D6. There's the D6, there's the D10, and the 8 is the modified 8 is better than the 6. Now here's what's important. Open up your charts, and in the right-hand column, go down to standard damage. Click on the standard damage line, and you'll probably have to adjust your screen a little bit. This was an armored location on the Atlanta, I believe. Yep, it's armored location on the Atlanta, so we're going to use that column. Now, if the challenge roll, that's what CR stands for on the result column, and DR stands for defense roll. If the challenge roll, the gunnery, is greater than the, it's backwards on the chart. If the defensive roll is less than the challenge roll, which it was in this case, but it's not twice, the attack roll was not twice as great as the defense roll, then we're going to use this second row on the table. So our roll was an 8, defense roll was a 6. The 8 isn't twice as much as a 6, so actually nothing's going to happen here unless there is the shields, the protective shields have taken 2 hits, and they haven't. There's no -2 modifier on the shields on that location yet. But let's pretend for just a moment that the Atlanta really whiffed on its die rolls. Let's say it rolled, its highest die roll was a 4. Now the 8 is twice as much as a 4, so we're going to use the third row. And it says if -2 or more shields, 2 hits. Okay, well there's no damage to the shields yet, so we can't do that. Then it says in all other cases, increase shields by -1. So in this case, since there's no shield damage marker, we're going to go ahead and place one there. So let me find a shield hit, and we'll put this on the waterline. So as long as the roll is at least twice as great, that will damage the shields. And now, future hits on the waterline, the defense rolls will be modified by that -1, because now the armor's cracking. All right? Now, if the die roll if the die roll was even better, it's like the attack roll was a modified 8, but let's say the defensive roll was 2. Okay, that's better than 3 times. Okay, that's 3 times better than the, actually 4 times better than the attack roll. In that case, you use the most severe row on a standard damage chart. And that is you place 2 hits in addition to what other hits have occurred. So in this case, hitting the waterline would place 1 automatic and 2 more for a total of 3. Then you also increase shields by -2. And on top of all that, you have to roll 2d6s, add them together on the critical hit table. So on the critical hit table, looking for it here, it is that one. There it is, up at the top. Critical hit table with a ship hitting the water line. Anything from the boiler, steering, there could be a fire, damage to the ram, to the crew, to the speed, to the engine. Any one of these things. There could be a cataclysmic explosion on board. Could happen. And so critical hits will cause damage that's going to last for the rest of the game, but you could have a repair party assigned to try to fix the problem. So if you have problems with the boilers, maybe a repair party can get it fixed and get the ship back in action at top proficiency. So that's how gunnery works in the game.